Hello, welcome to IRCN News. Today we'll be interviewing Today we'll be interviewing Mark Watney, the man who stayed on Mars 10 times longer than he should have and survived. Mark Watney has written down all his adventures on Mars in his story, The Martian, and intends to tell them to us today. So, Mark, what is the most challenging part of being on Mars? Yeah, thanks for having me, Matt. See, I think the biggest problem with being on Mars is that you're alone for so long. You have to come up with new ways to really master your circumstances and invent new ways to do things that you wouldn't usually do them, such as re-engineering rovers or growing food that does not grow on the surface of Mars. Interesting. Alright, on to the next question. How is being trapped in a hostile environment such as Mars different from being trapped in the woods or Arctic per se? See, what you have to know about Mars is it's much different because it's much more life-changing and there's always a hostile environment. These big events, they tend to change you in ways that other places don't. In the woods, it's like, okay, I'm in the woods, but I've seen the woods before. This is a whole new environment that every part of you must get used to, or else you have no chance of surviving. I'm an astronaut, so I've gotten used to these sort of hostile situations and have been trained to get used to them. Alright, moving on. Once stuck so far away from home, what kept you going when you knew there was so little of a chance of your survival? What kept you moving on and letting yourself go on to harder situations that you knew would be even harder than the last one? See, there's a lot of hope involved. You really have this internal motivation that gets you through these external conflicts that you wouldn't be able to challenge otherwise if you weren't prepared for such a situation mentally and physically. You have to know your enemy, and you must move on as if you know you will make it through. You have to try as if you're never going to give up, and knowing that you will see your family and friends again. Moving on, do you think that you have gained from this experience more than those who just read or hear about your story have? Do you think being on Mars in such hostile situations made you a better or different person? Yes, just to sum it up, yes, sum up the question. Because there's an aspect of fear. If you're reading a story such as mine, you have a strong sense that this person is going to survive and will go on. But living it, you don't really know that. You know that you have a chance and that you hope to, but you don't know how the events will turn out, and you cannot be sure of it until the end. And if you don't, then no one would know the story. But people who read the story would, because you survived. So you don't know if you will survive, but you must. Interesting. Now, next question. Do you feel any resentment or guilt for making your crew, who spent just as much risk on this trip as you did, come back for you on such a dangerous journey, and having NASA spend all this money to get you back? Do you think it was worth it? Do you think you're guilty for having them put so much effort on you? At the end of all things, really, it wasn't my decision for them to come back. They must have cared for me enough. I somewhat gave them the choice, and they found out I was still alive. They felt like they had to for the sake of humanity. I was just doing my part to aid and abet them at their goals of saving me. Does that make me a jealous or selfish person? I don't know. That's for the historians to figure out. Very interesting thought indeed. Last question. What is it like being alone to just your thoughts and your imagination for so long without anyone else giving you thoughts or helping you along your way? Does that make you nervous? Does that make you anxious? Does that drive you crazy after a long enough period of time? Yeah, see, the most important thing to note is you have to keep a solid mind about these things. If it's just your thoughts, you wouldn't know if you're going crazy because you'd be the only one to talk to. You have no point of reference. But as soon as you get some communication and you keep it in your mind that you will soon get to talk to somebody, it really lifts your spirits and just keeps your mind busy. As long as you have a way to keep your mind busy, you will be able to make it through. Well, thank you, Mark, for answering. You've gotten very deep with us and has made this a very educational video between the two of us. Coming up next, we'll be interviewing Donald Trump about how he would, should he become president, intend to make America great again. Stay tuned. It's going to be huge.